Hey folks, I hope you all are doing well. It is, well, my light's a little bit bad. I guess I've waited until it started getting dark outside to broadcast today. Sorry about that. What is it, Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Sometimes I forget what day of the week it is. I've got Periscope. Hey, Ginger. I've got Periscope over here on my left and Facebook Live going on my right. Listen, real quick, I have had hey Ginger, I've had three amazing podcast interviews this week. First, I had Justin Wu of Growthly. Thank you for all the love. Of Growthly, GrothLY, that's the website. Justin Wu is amazing. He's setting the world on fire, doing what he does as a growth hacker. The amount of knowledge that comes from this man is insane. He's so good at what he does. He's so excited about what he does. And thank you, Ginger, for inviting people. You've just got to listen to him. If you want to find him, he's on Snapchat at Hackapreneur, Hackapreneur. He's just phenomenal. And I don't get to consume a lot of Snapchat content because I broadcast more than I can consume. But he's just absolutely amazing. I mean, every day he's on there talking. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're interested in email growth, thank you for all the love, Ginger. If you're into email growth, Facebook growth, YouTube, it doesn't matter what you're trying to grow. Justin is an expert at hacking it and making it so you grow exponentially and get the kind of people that you want. Thank you for the love. Get the kind of people that you want to see and who are the right kind of people for your message. I mean, that's what he does. And he's excited about it. He travels all over the world doing speeches and helping people do what it is he's good at doing. Yesterday, I interviewed somebody who I don't know extremely well, but I'm starting to consider her a pretty good friend. I met her at World Domination Summit in Portland, Oregon, back in August. Her name is Kendra Wright. And let me tell you something. She was one of the speakers at World Domination Summit, and she just absolutely rocked it, okay? And I use that term rocked it intentionally because she kind of looks like a punk rocker, or not maybe a punk rocker, but like Pat Benatar. You know, she came out in leather pants and she's got jet black hair. And I mean, she's been in the rock and roll industry. I believe at some point she was doing some rock and roll stuff, but I mean, she rocked it. She had lived a tough life growing up, had a lot of fears instilled in her. And she decided, you know what, I'm coming out of this shell. She created what she calls the Year of Fear. And without publicizing it, she did her own Year of Fear. Every day, she did something different, something that was a challenge, something that she was scared to do. She took it head on, and she conquered it every day for 365 days. And look, she wasn't just jumping out of airplanes and swimming with sharks and doing a bungee cord through a big canyon. It wasn't just stuff like that. Yeah, she did stuff like that. But she had her upbringing. She had a disability when she was a kid, so that required her to wear a brace on her legs all the way up to her hips or so. And so she grew up being terrified of wearing shorts, wearing skirts, all that. So, you know, she told a story of during her Year of Fear, she decided she was going to wear a skirt. And she bought a skirt, and it hung there for 4 months, 5 months before she finally got the nerve to use that in her Year of Fear. So now she's wearing skirts all the time. Now she's wearing shorts all the time. She does all sorts of random things that she would be normally scared to do. She takes them on. So the first year she did it, she didn't publicize it. She just did it. She told a few key people what she had been doing after she finished it. They were like, oh my God, you've got to do this again and make it a business. And she has. And she helps others get out of their comfort zone and do something miraculous with their life or with their attitude or with whatever it is that they're trying to do. She helps them get through it and take the fear head on. Today, I interviewed Roberto Blake of RobertoBlake.com. Okay, if you don't know Roberto, he's a big-time YouTube star. I don't know if he'd call himself that, but he's absolutely amazing. He's done over 1,000 videos. I think he's got 700 or 800 of them on his channel. They're all professionally produced by himself. He's been teaching himself this stuff since he was a little kid. The internet was, went online when this guy was like 12 or 13 years old, and he fell in love with it. And he's been doing this kind of stuff ever since then. And he educates. He talks to people about personal branding. He talks to people about building a YouTube following, building an email list. I mean, whatever you can think of that's important to being an online entrepreneur, he talks about on a daily basis. And he's in a sense, I don't know if he would even call himself like a Casey Neistat of educational topics on, say, YouTube or email building, but in a sense he is. He's on there almost daily creating awesome content. I watch a lot of his videos. In fact, his videos are so good that and so educational, and for every level that you could possibly be in life, every age level, whatever, that my 13-year-old daughter, who I want to learn how to be self-sufficient. I don't even want my 13-year-old daughter. I mean, I would be pleased if she said, I'm not going to college. I'm going to chart my own path. Okay. Thank you for the love, Ginger. I'm going to, and I've already been talking to her about this, and I think I've already got her sold on it. Now I just need to start putting the tools in her hands. And I can't talk about what her Christmas is going to be because she might see one of these broadcasts, but she's going to have a good Christmas, and this is going to be the start of her journey, learning things like Roberto. I look at what Roberto has done, and I want my daughter to do that. Roberto, at a very young age, started doing graphic design, started doing video editing. Long before YouTube came around, he was doing video editing. In fact, he was doing video editing before YouTube existed, and yet he didn't get on YouTube until about 2013. And that was what, 6-7 years after YouTube had gotten started. He's on there finally. So, you know, he's happy that it happened that way for him. But this man has totally created a career for himself by stacking skill after skill after skill. There's no end to his amount of creativity and interest in these things. And he turns around and teaches other people to do it. I would love for my daughter, I'm going to have her start watching a Roberto Blake video on a daily basis. And then I'm going to watch the same video, and we're going to talk about it every night or the next day, whatever. But I want my daughter to start looking at this kind of stuff seriously, and Roberto is absolutely phenomenal. Now, talking about these three people, on my podcast today, Justin Wu dropped. So if you follow my podcast, or if you don't follow my podcast, you can look up my name, Todd Bergen, on iTunes. You will find my podcast. Justin Wu dropped today. It's an absolutely fabulous, remarkable podcast. I'm very happy. Hey, Victoria, I'm very happy to have gotten an opportunity to have him on my program. Kendra from Year of Fear, her website is heykendra.com. In the podcast, I mistakenly at first identified it as askkendra.com. There's nothing at askkendra.com. It's a parked website. Somebody owns it, but nothing's there. But Kendra at heykendra.com, just go to her website and look at the picture that shows up. Thank you for all the love. Look up entrepreneurship, Victoria. Look up heykendra.com and look at that picture of Kendra on the front of it. She's a complete introvert. She had fears like you wouldn't believe. And look at that picture and tell me what an awesome person she has become. I mean, she's just phenomenal. And when she walked out on stage, I mean, she walked out after, you know, other people had spoken who were a lot more reserved and, you know, just different. And she comes out and it's kind of like, whoa, what are we getting here? And she just, boom. I mean, it was just a knockout punch. She just delivered and delivered and delivered. And her story is so compelling and awesome. I actually knew her before World Domination Summit. I had worked with a coach. Thanks for all the love. I had worked with a coach. You might know her from Eventual Millionaire. Jamie Tardy was her name when I worked with her. She's Jamie Masters now. But I got to know Jamie very, very well. And Kendra used to work with Jamie, I think, as a personal assistant. She might have done more. And that might not actually be the right title that she had with Jamie, but when I used to communicate with Jamie, a lot of my communications would get filtered by Kendra. So I knew her previous to World Domination Summit. And it was funny, when she was up on stage at World Domination Summit, through the whole thing, I knew her from somewhere, and I just couldn't put two and two together until after the show. And it was like, wait a minute, I know her from Jamie Tardy. I texted Jamie Tardy. I said, oh my God, you won't believe it. I just saw your friend and ex-coworker Kendra on stage. She knocked it out of the ballpark. She was awesome. So Kendra's dropping tomorrow. So when you guys wake up, she drops at 5 o'clock California. So when you guys get up tomorrow, if you want to download Kendra and listen to her tomorrow, she's fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Go to her website, subscribe to her email. She says that 85% of everything she writes, all of her content, is email only. as a benefit for the people who choose to subscribe to her, so that she's not wasting her time on the people who aren't really there for her and for her message. And so that they can build the one-on-one with the email. She does a lot of interactive in her emails. Finally, getting back to Roberto, Roberto drops, his podcast is already primed and ready to go. I'm just waiting for the artwork, and then I can schedule it. It will go live on Tuesday at 5 in the morning, California, Pacific time. But look, these three people kind of bring me to the question this week that I want to bring to you guys is, if you're in a day job, if you're in a career, what are you doing there? I mean, are you happy? Are you content? Do you feel like you're making any sort of a difference? Are you making any sort of impact on your life or anyone else's life? Or are you just coasting and wasting time? I look at these three individuals who are kick-ass individuals in every way imaginable. They have taken life by the horns and they have control of it, okay? They are having fun. Yeah, they work hard. Hey, how you doing, Carly? They work hard. They work long days. They work while they're on vacation. They work on the airplane. They work at the restaurant. They work all day long, honing their message, trying to make a connection with as many people as they can, and to try to make other people's lives better. Justin helps people with their businesses, hacking and doing growth hacking with their business in every way imaginable in order to grow the brand and increase sales, okay? And to instill confidence in people who are out there trying to sell. Kendra, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's your business or your person. She just makes you a badass, okay? She's going to find out what scares you today, and she's going to challenge you to deal with it immediately, and to actually go out and find things that bother you and scare you and to deal with it. Okay, there's an art to it, and she has mastered it more than anybody I have ever known. Roberto's just, I mean, he's just a skill stacker, and actually I take that term skill stacker from Kendra. I talk to Kendra, in fact, most of the time when I do a podcast, I talk to these people extensively before and after the interview. So there's a lot that doesn't show up on the air, and so I get little mini educations every time I talk to somebody new. Skill stacking is a term that Kendra, I don't know if she coined it, but I got it from her. I had never heard that term, skill stack, and I'm going to use it every day. I love it, okay? That's what I want my daughter to do. It's what I want my son to do. It's what I want you to do, and it's what I'm trying to do. Skill stack. Everything I can learn that's going to help propel my business, to help me meet new people, make good connections, skill stacking, okay? Roberto has made that an art. That is his art. He is a creative genius. One skill after the next. Look at this man's website, robertoblake.com. Go to the About page and look at all the stuff he has done and can do. And most of it he does himself. He does a little hiring out, but most of it he does himself. It's absolutely incredible. There's not a reason in the world that you guys, that me, that any of us can't do this sort of thing. And it doesn't take as long as you might think. You're in a day job. Let's say you're my age, okay? I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 46 years old, and I know a lot of people that are my age. They have professional degrees, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just have a 4-year degree, and they're in their shitty career, and their kids are going to be moving out soon, and life is passing them by. And every day that goes by, they're less and less valuable to the company that they're working for that has no allegiance to them anyway. And you know what? The company ought not have allegiance to them, because most of the people that I know that are working for a company don't truly have an allegiance to the company either, okay? It's a two-way street. Neither is going to have an allegiance to one or the other, which means you're expendable any day, anytime. You don't know when it's happening. There's a guy that lives on my street that's been with this company for years and years and years. He's a controller, always done very well. Guess what? Poof. The other day, he lost his job. He's got 2 small children. Poof. He's mid-40s. In fact, I think he's a little older than me. Probably towards 50. Gone. Boom. Okay, are you in that position? When are you going to do something about it? Look at Roberto. Look at Kendra. Look at Justin. Now, granted, they're all young. Okay, Justin is, I think he said he's 27. Kendra's 29. And I can't remember what age Roberto said he is. He's 34, 35-ish. And Roberto didn't really start exploding his business until he was about 32. That's when things started happening for him. 3 years, He's got a 6-figure business. He's knocking it out of the ballpark. Kendra, I think it's been 2 years for her, knocking out of the ballpark, 6-figure business. Justin, he's been doing it all his life. He's been an entrepreneur since he's 13. But guess what? 14 years, he's been knocking it out of the ballpark for quite a while, and it just is getting better and better. Because of his Snapchat endeavors, Wall Street Journal contacted him. Because of his Snapchat endeavors and the content he puts on Snapchat, Wall Street Journal contacted him. But just recently, to do a collaboration on Snapchat for the Wall Street Journal readers. Do you know what that does to an individual's business when the Wall Street Journal contacts you and wants to collaborate with you? Wow, okay, amazing. And because of the Wall Street Journal and the publicity that it got for Justin, he got invited to this high-end, there's an event called CES. I think it's a Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in January. They've got a new influencer niche, you know what, if you're from the South, you call it niche. If you're from anywhere else, you call it niche. I hear it both ways, and sometimes I say it one way and sometimes I say it the other. But anyway, they've got a new group called high level influencers or something like that. And the benchmark for getting in this group is that you have to have a half million followers on one of your channels. I think Justin's most populous channel is his Twitter with about 47,000 followers, which is very impressive, but that's a far cry from 500,000, right? He got invited to be a part of this group. He's getting one of those badges and he's getting all the inside access because of his Wall Street Journal connection, okay? Because of the publicity he got and because the Wall Street Journal had put faith in him. Now look, this is just, all this is happening for these 3 people in a very short period of time. Okay, so you're at your day job and you're thinking, well, holy shit, my life is passing by in front of my eyes. You're in your mid-30s to your mid-40s, maybe you're even pushing 50s, and the whole world's passing you by. You're in some shitty job. There's no value to it. You're just wasting time and coasting until the day you're ultimately fired or you're quit or whatever happens. The company gets bought or sold or goes out of business. So what are you going to do about it? Don't look at it like these people are instant overnight successes. They're not. They start building one brick at a time. One brick at a time. One success leads to another success. Look, when I started my podcast, I'm 13 podcasts in, okay? 13 podcasts in. Now, I have some connections with some pretty decent people, some bigger names, okay? I have not asked any of them to be on my podcast. I have not asked any of them to put in a word for me to get someone on my podcast. I have gone out and I have asked the people that I have asked to be on my podcast. Now, I have asked people that have been on my podcast who they think might be a good fit for my podcast, so I can go and ask those people myself. But I haven't asked them to ask them for me. I wouldn't do that. But and in fact, when I have asked people who, like today or yesterday, when I asked Roberto Blake if he would be on my show, I asked him this yesterday and he was on today. I mean, it happened just like that, okay? This is a guy with extreme influence in the digital world. And he was on today and we were on Skype for almost 2 hours. Ross Brand of Livestream Universe, who is a pretty big name, but he's not a big name like Roberto Blake or anything. Ross had interviewed Roberto once, and he thought Roberto would be a good fit. Roberto's a nice guy. He said, he might just have time for an interview. I contacted him. Roberto answered immediately. I had to interview the next day, okay? Same thing with Kendra. When I asked Kendra if she wanted to do it, boom, next day. I could have said, hey, Kendra, you know me from Jamie or whatever, or asked Jamie to ask her or put in a word. No, I just directly contacted Kendra. And look, I'm getting in a very short period. In fact, I think everybody that's been on my show has been a high-level guest, okay? But it just goes to show that you just got to start doing. I mean, I've had 13 amazing high-level guests on my show since the start of it in just a month. Who am I going to have in 3 months? I mean, am I going to have Pat Flynn? Am I going to have John Lee Dumas? Hey there. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I going to have John Lee Dumas? Am I going to have Joel Comm? Am I going to have Gary Vaynerchuk? I mean, look, I can only dream, right? But you just don't know, okay? You don't know until you go out and you try to do it, and you do it. That's what these hustlers are out there doing, these online entrepreneurs. These people hustle. These people are building skill after skill. And these people aren't afraid to go out and make their mark. So you're in your day job or you're not in your day job and you keep overthinking about what it is you want to do, just start doing it. It'll all come together, okay? And you will have to, oh, thank you, Mastermind, thank you. I hope you follow and reach out anytime, divorcetheworkforce.com. Just start doing. You would be, I mean, everybody that I have come in contact with so far has been extremely generous with their time, with their knowledge, with their information. They have been overjoyed to join me on my podcast or on the phone or bounce emails back and forth. It's really, in a short period of time, especially since I've done the podcast, been a remarkable journey, okay? You got to do it. And the people that I talk to, the people who my message is really for, are you folks who are in your jobs. I don't really care what age you are, but I can identify with you being a 30 or 40 something and you're in a shit job and you're unhappy with where your life's going. It's stale, it's stagnant, your kids are getting older, your money's mediocre, you're having to fight for vacation time, your boss is a prick when you ask to take a vacation, you got to act all thankful with your tail between your legs. That's all a bunch of fucking bullshit. Excuse my French, but if you're going to be a friend of mine and on my channel, every once in a while you're going to hear an F-bomb. I apologize. But look, it is nonsense to live that kind of life, okay? You can do better. You know you can do better. I'm here to help you. Roberto's here to help you. Kendra's here to help you. Justin's here to help you. Go to my podcast channel. Look at everybody I've interviewed. Everyone there has something to offer you. Not only that, you can do it on your own. You don't need me. You don't need Kendra or Justin or Roberto. You know, a lot of these people got started on their own. They didn't have anybody. Look at a guy like Joel Comm. Okay, internet entrepreneur. Everybody loves Joel Comm, right? Everybody loves him. He got on when the internet was brand new, right? Who did he go to for internet online marketing advice and building a business and building a website? He just pioneered it, okay? You guys have the capacity to pioneer it if you want to, right? You don't need to hire a coach. You don't need to. Is it good to have some guidance? Is it good to have somebody help write your sales from time to time and help look at what you're doing from an objective standpoint and give you some tips? Absolutely. Okay, we all need that. I mean, even if you're Tony Robbins, you're going to need somebody to, he's got mastermind groups. He's got people, mentors and people that he looks to that look at what he's doing and give him advice. Yes, Tony Robbins gets advice, right? We all think of him as a guy that gives advice. He gets advice too, all the time, so he can hone his craft, hone his message, so he can reach more people and be more valuable to people and give people more of what they want, right? That's what he does. So listen, think about what it is you want to do. Think about what it is you want to do and just start chipping away at it. If you're in a day job, spend a lunch hour screwing around with it. Go home and turn off the TV. Work on it. Get up in the morning. Get up extra early. Work on it. Make sure you're getting your exercise, okay? Make sure you're eating well. But start chipping away at it, okay? Start chipping away at it. I mean, at a minimum, throw up a little website. You know, what are you interested in? Are you interested in knitting or skateboarding? Or are you a big movie buff? You know, start up a random podcast. Let's say you're a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, okay? Throw up a little website and talk about Leonardo DiCaprio movies. Just start, you know, cutting your teeth on podcasting, live video. You know, Cliff Ravenscraft, who I learned how to podcast from, he has all sorts of pet projects that have nothing to do with his business necessarily, but help hone his craft on a daily basis and give him fun and enjoyment in his life. I think he did a big podcast for the show Lost. And when Lost came on and he got hooked on it, him and his wife did a podcast. And they had people all over the world that listened to his show about Lost. And every time there was an episode of Lost, I never saw one episode of Lost. So, you know, I know that you guys probably have watched all of the Lost shows. I didn't watch it. I don't watch TV hardly at all. I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm because I identify with Larry David because he basically lives my life when it comes to getting along with strangers in public. And I could write episodes of his show for him every time I walk out the door. But Cliff, you know, he did his Lost show and he had listeners all over the world. And when the show ended, He did a party somewhere in Kentucky, and he had all these people from all over the world, as far away as like Norway, all sorts of stuff, coming to his party where they all watched the last episode of Lost and met each other. And all these years they had been spending time on his website and his blog and his podcast talking about the show Lost. So you never know where these things are going to take you. You just have to start doing them. Okay. It's just that simple. So with that, I actually went long tonight. I did not think, and I don't have a timer going, and neither Periscope nor Facebook is telling me how long I've been going. So listen, I want you guys to have a great night. I wish I broadcast more. I'm working on that. I've got so many things going on that I've been ignoring. Thank you too, Mark. And I'm sorry I haven't addressed all of your comments. I've been reading them, but I've been trying to stay on message because I get easily distracted and go off on tangents, and it turns it into a clusterfuck real fast. So I try to stay on message. But follow me, join me if you want to talk more in the future. I probably will have some more casual conversations where we can dive off. I did a lunch with Todd one time. That was actually kind of a hit, where I took the iPad and I sat at a bar in a restaurant and ate a hamburger and had a beer and just talked about whatever anybody wanted to talk about who showed up. And for my channel, it was a hit. I mean, I think Joel Comm did that, and he got 3,000 people on there at one time. I might have had 10 people on there at one time, but for my channel, that was a pretty big hit. When I'm still in single digits on broadcasting for the most part, more often than not. But follow along. Let me know what you think. DivorceTheWorkforce.com. You can find me on Snapchat. I'm not hard to find. You can find all that information on my website, DivorceTheWorkforce.com. Ginger, I'm glad that you hung out with me. I went long, so I'm surprised you're here the whole time, but I'm absolutely elated that you stayed with me, and you know where to find me. You want to chat with me? You and I have been talking for months and months and months. So if anything that I've talked about today is something that you want to talk about further, find me on Snapchat, email me, Facebook. I don't care. I don't care where you find me. You're going to get a response from me either way. Listen, folks, have a great evening. I got to get home and see the family. Have a great night, and thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all the hearts and sharing and all that. Have a great night. Thanks, guys.